Do you want to pray?
Ladies, so glad you are here. And we have a special guest today. We have Connie, who's going to join us today because today we are talking about collaborating with other influencers. And Connie is a queen of this. She knows how to network. She knows how to connect. She's very good at this. So I have asked her to come on and to share some of her tips, some of the things she wants us to keep in mind as we go forward in our course and community, and how that can help us build those things, is give credibility and all those great things. So we're just going to jump right in and turn it over to Connie. She's going to join us for the first little bit. Okay.
Well, you guys, like I said, I feel like I'm in with the cool kids. Like I get to be invited in. So I'm like, yeah, I'm part of the club here. So I just wanted to first start with any questions or any concerns that you have about collaborating with other people, and just kind of get a feel and a lay of the land of where you're at, or where maybe you might have like, I don't know how to do X, Y, and Z. And then we're not covering stuff that you're like, I already know how to do that. So any thoughts, any questions that you guys have?
I have a question.
Yes.
So are you trying to collaborate with people that are doing similar things that you're doing, or very different things, and you're just bringing in each other's things that we each bring to the table? How's the best way to do that? I mean, I know there's lots of ways that it could be done, but that's a question.
Excellent question. And what I have found, again, this is not the 11th commandment, but what I have found that helps is find people that are complementary to what you do, so you're not competing. So I don't invite other people to talk about purpose or anything like that, because then it's uncomfortable. We're kind of stepping each other's Wheaties. But sorry, I just noticed my pink is like super pink. It depends on the lighting that comes in. It's so annoying. And then if I go outside, I look like a streetwalker because it's so, I have to put on so much for this. Anyway, I found that if I do people who are complementary, then it strengthens everybody. So for example, we did a summit and we ended up calling it Let's Do This, which just was so fun. And we brought in someone who was a physical fitness person, Andy, can't remember her last name, Lamira.
Thusen.
That's right, Thusen. So Andy Thusen, and she had a really great following, and we really vetted the people to make sure that they had more of that disciple thought leader lens. It wasn't just these before and after pictures all the time, or it wasn't like doing extreme things for fitness. They were kind of whole soul about it. So that's another thing. When you're looking at collabing with people, make sure that they have your same value system, because otherwise they'll start popping off with stuff that you're like, that's not even what we do. That's not even what we believe in. So make sure that it's the same value system. And it does take a little bit more time to vet them out and make sure. And then you do a phone call ahead and you say, hey, I think this would be a great opportunity for your audience to get to know my audience, for your people to see what I offer, because I think this is going to support you in this way. And I know that you'll support my people in this way. So the second thing is to make sure you show what the benefit is for that person and how you're going to benefit what they're doing. But that way, when you're doing something that they compliment you on, we had someone physical, and then we had, I think it was Dr. Trish Barris, and she did the emotional. And then we had one more. Who was the other one?
It was Jenny Layton, organization.
There we go. About getting organized and decluttering, and how that all helps with you being able to make time and energy for your purpose. So I would show how each one of those actually made a difference with the thing that we were driving, which is finding and fulfilling your purpose, so that they could see why this all went together. We just ended up doing the 4 of us. We did it in about an hour and a half-ish, 2 hours. We give everybody about 15 minutes to just do a really knock 'em, sock 'em, one takeaway. And that was the main important thing, is I didn't want them going off on strange roads. I didn't want them talking about a lot of things. I just wanted them to keep it to one specific takeaway, and people could remember that. And then I asked them to do a free download. So a freebie that would be a benefit to them, but also for our people. And everybody provided a free download. And then we did some giveaways. We asked if they wanted to be involved in a giveaway so that they could do a giveaway. And then in between people doing this summit speaking, we did some giveaways, and then we did a grand giveaway where we gave a bunch of things in one big kind of.
We gave our course. We gave our course, and each one of them gave, some had courses, some had, like Dr. Barris had a session. So things like that, they each, and the 3 of us, I guess, yeah, we all had other online courses or group coaching that we were doing.
So the small giveaways would be like a book or something like that in between. And then the grand giveaway was more that bigger thing. So that was like a nice draw for people. And because we did complimentary things, people really responded well to that. I think we thought, well, if we get 50 people, 75 people, we'll be doing great. We had 400 and something people. I mean, it was amazing. And then we kept the recording as well so that we could use that and leverage that for future content. So it was a great thing. And they had access to the recordings as well. So Andy and Dr. Trish, and they could use whatever they needed. So it was a win-win. It was definitely beneficial. And again, because we complemented each other, it was like people could pick and choose and go, wow, this is helping me. I want to get fit and I want to do this and I want to fulfill my purpose. And I'm getting all the things in kind of a one-stop shop. So it's a little bit longer answer, but it's kind of a twofer of, wow, I want to collab with people and that complement me. And then how do I actually go about that? That was one way that really worked for us. As I mentioned yesterday in the DTLC, you can do a half day, a full day, 2 days, 3 days, a whole week of it. But the more you go, the more stressful. And I feel like the less energy and urgency there is, because people just don't have the sustained excitement to even if they're great speakers, if they're moms, if you're reaching women, they only have so much bandwidth. And then they start feeling like they're missing out all the time. They have maybe a chunk in between carpool, or they have a chunk in between whatever before they go get kids, or kids come home from school, or in between their work stuff. So I personally like just an hour or a morning or something like that, where they can set aside that time, or they can say, I can hop on for this one, I can get this one, but then I'll listen to the recording after. So that's just a thought.
I always think of the way we do sacrament meeting. I mean, that's our attention span is 15, 20 minutes. And that's a good way to look at it, as just like when you set up your course and you're doing your modules, it's the same thing.
And think TED Talk, 20 minutes, that it works for a reason. We're about done. And that's about the time you maybe are on the treadmill or you have to drive somewhere or whatever. It's just a good start, stop, ending place. And if you add in those giveaways, it adds the incentive of, and if you want to, you could add some Q&A in between. And that's an idea too. That's if you want to keep them connected to what you're doing. And I personally really like that. For BYU Management Society, I'm on their board, and we do the Moral and Ethical Leadership Conference. And the year that we had COVID, they usually do it in person, and so we had to do it online. And they're like, well, how do we get people? People are so done sitting in front of a screen, right? And so we made Q&A in between. We had them do their speaking thing, and then we did giveaways, and then we did some takeaways after. We said, what was your takeaways, everybody? And they loved that sort of talking in between the talks. We kind of cocked it with 10 minutes of giveaway and takeaways and connection, which people were starving for. And then we started the next thing. So that's something to consider too. So you're not just like pumping out just talks and that kind of thing, which leads me to, like I said yesterday, you can decide if you want to pre-record or if you want to do it live. There's pros and cons to both in my experience and opinion, but I love the predictability of recording it ahead of time. That is such a blessing because then you're not stressed about it. But there is something so juicy about having it be live because you never know what's going to happen. And it has that element. So we did record it live. If I remember correctly, didn't we record it live?
Yes, we actually did it live because our giveaways were live.
We're live. Everything was live. But then we did provide the recording after. So, and you can provide the recording of, you either do one ticket price of it's $67 and you get the recording and you get these 4 speakers or whatever. Or you can say it's $47 and it's $20 for the recording, and however you want to do it. And we've done that for You Got This Women. We did where there was a price for actually being live. And then if they ordered early enough, we could make it the bonus. If you pre-register by this time, you get a free recording. And if they did it, then the recording was also available after. And we actually did really well with the recordings. People really like having it. Even if they end up not listening to it, they like knowing that they have it.
Can I say something too? And this can be free. When we did the Let's Do This, it was a free thing. And it was basically everybody came and then we shared that contact list with all 4 people. So then suddenly you were on 4 newsletters, and I still get a couple of them because I still like their stuff. And we had people coming into our programs because of that and into our community and have stayed into that list. So that's another way, is just to grow your audience and to, because some people don't even know you, but people know they'll want what you have.
I would submit that this is something, like I've said before, we're so busy working on helping you guys move your stuff forward that there's a good amount of things that we know we need to be doing that we have not been doing. But we've done in the past, but we're just not doing it right now that we know. And I will tell you, number one for me is this collab. Absolutely. Number one, to me, biggest way of getting increased reach is collaborating with other people where you fill the fit. So with your design, you can think about, well, who has things that they would love to have that design element that would go with it? And maybe it's organization and somebody who is organizing like a Jenny Layton, and then you would combine with her and say, look, I'm going to help you with design elements. Or with Angela, with you parenting. I mean, you have a lot of ways that you can go with this because you're doing different instructions. So you can partner with people who are talking about different tips of parenting and different aspects of parenting. And there's like 600 ways for you to combine with that. And there's so many conferences and so many people. To me, it would be more about you finding the people that you love and start where you're having success. It took me a while to realize that I should start with the people that I'm actually using the stuff. For my podcast interviews, she's like, who do you want? I'm like, wow, well, I'm going to the people that I'm listening to, that I'm reading their books, Brandon Mull, Jennifer Nielsen, Josie Kilpack, all those people, because why? When I'm on that interview, guess what I'm able to do? I'm sharing personal experiences. Well, when I read your book, or when I went to this thing, or when I saw you at this book signing, or blah, blah, blah. Now it sounds like I've been doing all this research and I've been really spending hours, whatever. It's just been my natural thing. So look for the people that you naturally gravitate to, and likely your audience is going to like those people too. So it's something to consider that way, is start with those. And I talked with Artist the other day when she was looking at sponsors and things like that for her brunch. She was thinking of different people out here. And I said, start with the people that are the easy yes, the people that love you and adore you, want to support you, what you're doing. And she was like, oh, well, then I know like 3 people who would probably want to donate, because you're like, well, I don't want to bug them. They're my friends and whatever. No, they're so happy. They know you. They know you're not just trying to sell them, because you're not like that. You have something you feel strongly about, and you're like, hey, if this is a fit, great. That's a great thing to do. So ask the people you know first. And then when we were talking, she went, oh my gosh, there's a group of singers that I know that they're actually generational, and went right along with the whole idea of generational gardening, healing through generational gardening. So it was a perfect fit. So just keep that in mind. Start with people that you know and respect and love.
I even mentioned in here between those two Angelas, I'm like, you have one that's talking about home and creating your home as a sanctuary, refreshing your home, and the other one who's talking about families. And that could even be something like those different aspects of building a home and connecting that way.
You could absolutely look in the DTLC and see who you might want to collab with, right? And here's one thing to consider. Try to get on with as many higher water source people as you can, because that means they're going to have a more established email list. So and if you don't have a very well established email list, then find something else that you will make a bonus or a benefit to them. So I was invited to be part of this 5-day challenge. And the gentleman, when we were talking, I could tell that he hadn't done this very much. I said, is this your first one? He said, yes. Try not to go with someone it's their first one. But if you're all in the same boat, it's like, well, okay, then we're going to do it. Or if they're happy to have you on board and it's not their first one and you don't have much of an email list, then you can still offer something that would still be a benefit. But as we were talking, I was qualifying and I'm finding out, do you have how many's on your email list? Not that many. So the other 3 people that were going to be on this 5-day challenge, we were bringing the email list. So the thing he was doing as the benefit was he was setting up the 5-day challenge and he was making all this stuff happen on the back end. But I kind of knew what that looked like. And I'm like, So I said, well, do you have any skill set that you would be willing to share with my women? And he had a course that he could offer, or he could come on and do something or whatever. But I needed to know that there was some kind of benefit to you guys if I'm going to be part of a 5-day challenge. And it can't be just that he's just going to be siphoning off my email list, right? It has to be a benefit. So ask those kinds of questions and be prepared for someone to ask you those questions. They should. If they have their salt about this, they should be asking you, what's your email list? What is it that you bring to the table? And you should have a ready answer. If you're like, I'm building my email list right now, but what I can offer is I can offer a 20-minute free consult to the first 10 people that sign up in your group. If I was listening to that, I'd be like, okay, that's a benefit to my audience. That's fine. So it doesn't have to be that you got this awesome email list, but you're going to have to come to the table with something.
What is a number? What is a number on
A
the email?
good 2,500 is a good amount of an email list. Anything above that is great. So 2,500, 1,000 is okay, but 2,500, if you're going to do a summit or some kind of collab together, you really want to make it worth your while. Now, that being said, ladies, if you have no one on your list and you have someone who's got 500 on their list or whatever, then sweet. It's probably going to be in your best interest to do something to move it forward. But you do not want to go to all this work and you get 10 people on your email list. That is not worth it. So you, like I said, you want to have someone who's got something that you want and you've got something that they want. And that's the barter, come to the table. What do you got? So if I want to make chocolate chip cookies and I don't have chocolate chips, but you got them, well, then that's going to look pretty pricey and good to me, even if I've got all the other ingredients for the cookies. Does that make sense? So make sure that what you do bring to the table is something that that person that you want to collab with fills a need for them, that they don't want to have to deal with. They don't want to have to go and do a course on or whatever, but they can see that that fills a need. And so that's why it's really good to think about who you want to work with, value-based, but who you want to work with and how you fill that need. What is the need they have for their audience? And then how do you fill that? Any other questions?
I think I'm just kind of in the same place. I don't really have an email list yet. So I don't even know how to get there.
I have 50.
See, every person is valuable and that matters. So that's why you have your opt-in and your downloads, right? That's why you're communicating with them weekly and giving them awesome content. Awesome, awesome content. Don't hold back on it. Give them awesome content. If you're like, well, you know what, I put that in the course or whatever, just give them awesome content, because the benefit of the course is that it's all in an organized manner. So they can go in and they can get it and retrieve it and access it in a very simple, easy way. People could get all my stuff on my website if they wanted.
So you're saying you want to be sending something out to those people on your email list frequently.
That your newsletter is your connection and your nourishment to those people. So it's as if you're sitting going to lunch with them. You're like, oh, I know what's wrong with your room. If you do this, try this, put these 3 plants in this place, it'll change your room. I promise.
Okay.
What you want is for people to feel the results. If you can give them results, they will trust you and they'll come back for more. They'll want to know, what else do you have? People that I trust, I go back and say, what else you got? Sweet Angela, she's like, she did a room for me. And I'm like, what do you got about a deck? What do you have about painting the outside of a house? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what do you have on these other things? Because I trust her. So establish that relationship of trust with great, juicy, usable, results-getting content.
Okay.
I know I didn't want to take a lot of time because I'm sure that Lamaira's got a lot that she wants to share with you today. A couple of other thoughts that I had for you was also be really clear what you want from the people that you're collaborating with. Make sure you're both on the same page. So the brainstorming phase is, I always say to them, let's just brainstorm. I don't even know what this looks like, but are you interested in doing something together? Because I love what you do. And she's already said, I love what you do. So I'm like, oh, there's got to be a match in here somewhere. So let's have a brainstorming Zoom. And that means there's no obligation. You guys can walk away after that Zoom and be like, nah, that didn't sound good. You can just brainstorm. And what you're looking for in this brainstorm, are they easy to work with? Are they open to new ideas? Are they just in it for them? How much did they talk about? How can I help your people? What can I do for them? Is this going to benefit them? You can hear what they're saying, because as they start is how they will go on. So if they're all about, I need this and I want that, that's probably how they're going to be to work with through that 5-day challenge or through the summit or whatever. So really get that brainstorm. It could be really short, doesn't matter. It could be a phone call. Then get some ideas of, what is your ultimate ideal? What would you ultimately like out of this? What do you ultimately need out of this? Well, I want reach, or I want people to have more of this piece that I don't even want to have to create. Find out what their ultimate need is, and then you share your ultimate needs. So you make sure that at the end of the day, those 2 ultimate needs are met. And if that happens, you're both going to be happy. Even if sound goes out, even if there's tech problems, you'll both know we did our very best to make sure those needs were met. Sweet. And once you've got those, once you have that ultimate, then make the plan. Do not hesitate to make a clear timeline, the expectations. You will post on Monday and Wednesday. I will post on Tuesday and Thursday, the pre-launch. Then we will do the week of, We will connect on this day. Then we will come in 15 minutes ahead of time. We will have these 3 points that we're sharing. Send me your 3 points. I'll send you my 3 points. We make sure that we're all connected. You really want to make sure that there's connection. Now, don't make it overkill, but I don't want to make it sound like that, but you want to be clear, really clear. What is it that they are supposed to share with their audience, and how much time do they have, and make it clear they need to stick to their time. Make it super clear, because people can go off on tangents without even realizing it. And then you only have 5 minutes to do your part, which is you're the one that set this whole thing up in the first place. So make sure that that's really clear, and then be clear about the way that they can offer. We were really clear about what they could and could not do. So like Andy, she has her giveaway that she's going to do, and then she had her grand prize thing that she was giving away. We wanted to be the ones, if I remember correctly, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, we wanted to be the ones that say, look, this is what we have. We want them to teach, not sell during their 20 minutes. So make sure that they understand that this is not 10 minutes of giving a quick tip and then it's going to be, you're going to see how awesome my course is. They can share what their course is and how it relates to the tip that they shared, and how, you know what, the course will tell you all about that. That actually will help you create these 3 things that I just talked about. So you're going to want to check that out. I'm super happy about that. And that's for the grand prize. Absolutely. We want them to share what it is, but we don't want to spend 10 minutes of them selling.
And a good thing with that too is when they come on, because they're going to get your newsletter list anyway, or like those who came on, the list of those who joined. And so that's where they will do their selling in their newsletter, or if people start following them. Do you know what I mean? So you make it natural. So that way, when people come on to the webinar, one, you've established trust with that new audience that you're there to give them value. Just like Connie talked about Amy Porterfield doing that. And they're coming and they'll come back to you for that value, so that when they're ready to purchase, they know they can trust you, that you're going to give them something without just keep changing everything on them.
How does the email sharing happen? How do you get their emails and give your emails to them?
Well, that is where, just like you set up a whole opt-in, like they log in, you create on the back end that tag, that group, whatever it is, and they go into there, and then you can download that specific group and you email that in a file. It's just simple. It's a simple file that you send over to them.
Is
And
that
say,
CSV?
"Here's the file."
So
Mhm.
it comes to whoever's hosting. So whoever's hosting it has a backend set up so that you're
Yes.
capturing those through the opt-in.
That is the benefit of you hosting it. It's because then if something happens on their end, you know that you've got it, if that makes sense.
So we had those 470 or something emails. So then we sent that in a CSV file, and sent that to each person. And everybody signing up knew that they were going to be put on the email list, but they could unsubscribe anytime. And we were very transparent and upfront about that. But just so you know, you are the one that controls that list. And that's a really important thing.
And I want to share another example of a collaboration that I just saw my friend do, who she's very high. She has a very big following, and she has other friends that she's collaborated with in retreats and that kind of thing. And it was at the beginning of the year, and she said, hey, I've got these 5 friends and we have an amazing gift for each of you. Like her free book, she's got an amazing course on Reels. She's got this, and that, like these 5 things I want to give to you. So go sign up here and you're going to sign up. Guess what? I got signed up to 5 newsletter lists. Now I can tell you how many I've watched or listened to, but do you see how quickly they all got my email? Because I was like, oh, I want that one thing, but then I can go and subscribe for what I want. But does that make sense? So it was something as simple as that, where they didn't have to do a whole webinar, but I signed up on one person's email list, one opt-in, and then I got welcome lists, if that makes sense. So that's just another idea of a collaboration, but she picked people that they all complement each other. They don't step on each other's toes, and they're friends, and they share each other's stuff all the time on social media. So if that makes sense.
I love that. And then you don't have to set up this big, huge summit thing. You can just offer these freebie gifts and that are going to bless our lives. And I would invite that when you do that, remember to bring it back to your main purpose, so that people understand that you're the one in charge. You're the one in control. When they come there, they're not going to be at the mercy of the latest advertising thing you're going to do, that they know that this really is a value and a benefit. And that's why you're doing it. You're giving them something of significant value.